everybody, I'm Nettie Kaye. Welcome back to my studio. Today we're going on to part 2 on how to paint a baby chick and an egg and a broken egg behind it with a little scene in the background. Okay, so if you haven't done part 1, go back, watch part 1 first, and then you can go on to part 2 and you'll be all caught up. It's not a big race. You can watch it for, you can watch it 12 times if you want or more. And then you can just enjoy it at your own pace and paint along as we go. So we've got about 20 local kids up here that are now participating in the We Da Vinci online classes, and that just includes all of these little videos. And then next week we're going to try to meet at various different times on Zoom. Wow, I hope your teacher can handle that. Anyway, we're going to do that, and I'm going to hopefully be able to see what you painted this week. So do your very best, okay? And if any of you local kids up here in the mountains in Valley County, up in the mountains of Idaho, would like to join and you haven't got your supplies and you'd like to order some, let me know, and I'll do my best to put a bag together for you in the next 5 to 7 days. We have a shipment coming in of our supply bags, and hopefully we'll be able to get one to you shortly. So just hang on. Yeah, let me know. All right, let's get on with our painting. Good. All right, now you don't have to have the specific set of paints. If you have some watercolor, or if you have crayons or pencils, you can just use that to make your picture too, okay? So don't worry about that. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my plate. Now remember, you guys, we're not mixing our paints in the little paint cups, right? We're not mixing them in the paint cups, we're mixing them on the plate. If you mix them in the paint cups, what's going to happen? Yeah, you know, it's going to turn into mud, and you're not going to have nice colors, just like our Play-Doh little illustration of don't mix your Play-Doh up, you know. So the first thing I'm going to do to start with is I'm going to get just a little bit of blue. I'm going to put a little bit of blue, not very much, just a tiny bit of blue. And then I'm going to wipe off my brush a little bit because I don't want it to get too dirty. I don't want my white to get too dirty. So now I'm going to scoop up a little bit of white, and then I'm going to mix that up a little bit with my blue. See how that tiny bit of blue is pretty strong, isn't it? And then I'm going to come up here into the corner, and then we're going to paint a little blue sky. All right, so I'm taking my little sponge brush. If you have your sponge brush, or any brush will do, but we're going to take this, and I'm not just painting across, I'm painting little X's like this, okay? Little X's, and I'm making it kind of interesting. Just random little strokes like that, okay? Now I have some mixed up right here, so I'm going to just use that. And so now I'm going to put that on nicely, and I'm going to put it at the top of the sky is darker, everyone, than as it comes down. So it's going to be a little darker. I'm going to get it really exaggerated just so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, there's nice and dark. So I'll make it very dark at the top. This is for you more advanced students, all right? And then I'm putting the dark paint at the top. I better move my little picture over. Dark paint at the top, and then as I come down, I'm going to set this down. As I come down the painting, then I get a little bit lighter and a little bit lighter. And now I'm going to come down to the top of the baby chick's head, and I'm going to come around that with my little brush around the beak. These little foam brushes are quite good when it comes to being able, I know they look really big, but you can control them and draw around things just with the edge of that brush. And guess what? If you make a mistake, you just take a little Q-tip and you can come back in and kind of wipe the paint off. Oops, I just made a mistake with my Q-tip. But you can kind of wipe out the paint with your Q-tips, your earbuds, or whatever they're called. Not your earbuds that you're listening to music with. No, that'd be bad. But you can take a little piece of paper towel and wipe out anything that you don't like, all right? So it's not like it's, you know, set in stone and you go, oh no, I made a mistake. And on top of that, you're going to paint over that bird anyway. So, you know, if you accidentally paint into the bird, oh well, just paint right back over it once it dries, okay? So now I'm going to get lighter and lighter as we go over here. I've got a real atmospheric look going on in this little cloud, in this little sky. And so I'm going to go past the bird's head. I think I'm going to go right up to about his neck, okay? Right up about to his neck, and then I'll go up to about the top of that egg over here, somewhere in there. Main thing is I want to overlap the sky a little bit with the bird's head. You could even stop right there, wherever you like to stop. That's fine. And then I'm going to put a little more here. Maybe I'll put a little bit more white into that so it's a little bit lighter. We'll see. Around the back of the bird, about like that. And we've got this nice sky. Now, for any of you little ones that just love to put some little clouds in there, that's okay. You can take a little white and you just kind of rub, oops, just a sec. You can let this dry too, and that would work. And so you can make little clouds by just putting your brush slightly at an angle and kind of rubbing in a circle. So we're just, you just go like that. I'm flattening it down onto the canvas, and then I'm just going in little circles and making little fluffy things like that. I'm not drawing a cloud and filling it in. No, I'm just rubbing that white paint over the top of my blue paint. And again, if the more white you want it, you can just leave it, just put a little bit of white on there now, and we'll let that dry, and then we'll come back in and do some really neat things with those clouds here in just a few minutes. Okay. Now the next part I want to do is I'm going to get into my my paint that it looks kind of like that kind of Dijon mustard. Okay, it's not bright yellow, but it's the next level down. It's called raw sienna. Now I'm ready. I've got my little Dijon or my little raw sienna paint, and that's kind of an important one, so you need that one. It's a little bit darker than the regular yellow. So if you have a yellow and you don't have this particular color, you just add a little bit of brown to it, all right? Tiny bit of brown. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little, what I call my little ratty brush. Okay, this is the ratty brush. Those are the ones that are about 1.5 inches wide that come from the hardware store for painting, okay? And so now on my plate, I'm going to take some of my little raw sienna right there, okay? And I'm going to add a little bit of my dark brown. And I'm not going to mix it up. I'm just going to kind of put it in there and kind of plop it around a little bit. And then I'm going to put some right over here. I'm going to go maybe a little bit here, a little bit there, a couple little dots here and there. And I'm just putting just a few dots here and there, like that. And what's going to happen is I'll let that dry for a minute, and then I'm going to put some brighter colors over the top of it. All right, so I'll put some back under here, maybe around here a little bit, like that. Okay, and so I'm going around a little bit carefully around the chicken with this dark brown color, maybe a little bit more of the regular raw sienna now, so not just super dark. I went a little bit dark, but that's okay because I'm going to be doing some other things. And then I'm going to come right up next to the egg. And if you go over the egg, remember again, pick up a little Q-tip, or a little bit of a paper towel and wipe it out. Now remember, this egg is dry from yesterday, so that works out really, really good. Now see, these brushes, they might look kind of crummy, but they're kind of neat because they make this kind of grass thing, don't they? They make a grass looking stuff. So now I'm going to wipe off some of that paint because I don't want to get too dark. But you can see how it makes that egg pop out a little bit. So I'm wiping it off with a paper towel, and then I'm going to get another paper towel just to be ready. And so now the main thing is that I've got my baby chick, and I want that baby chick to be able to stick out. So that's why I'm putting the dark paint behind it, so that you can actually see the baby chick when it pops out right like that. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some actual real, just some straight raw sienna this time, and I'm going to add just a little bit of white to it, okay? Now remember, don't mix up your white too much. If you need to, take some of your white out and put it in a little tiny paper Dixie cup so that you don't contaminate it too much, all right? It's kind of important. So now I've got this little, I've got a little bit of that with white on it. So it's the raw sienna, that little Dijon mustard color with a little bit of white. And let's see how I can do this. I'm going to just come up here like this. And then I need a little bit more of the little darker color, not too dark. And I'm going to just make some more grass like that. Get a little bit better. Or you can take just the yellow, the Dijon color, the raw sienna, dull yellow, and then you're going to come up right to the egg. Now, a lot of times, you guys, I'll do the background before I do all this because it's a little bit easier. But I thought for this case, I wanted to get our drawing down of our baby chick and a few things. Now I'm coming up on the edge of the horizon and I'm putting some lights, and as it dries, we'll make it even more interesting as we go. But it's going to have to dry a little bit, and I probably will have to get the hair dryer out in just a few minutes, okay? So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and take my time and be nice and careful. Now remember, this part of the egg is the inside of the egg, all right? So I don't want to put my grass in the middle of that. I want to make sure that that stays nice and white. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and take my blue sky and I'm going to put it down and cut that egg in with that blue sky so that I have just that that little that kind of little crackly edge. So this stays nice and light, and then I'll come around with my blue brush again and add a little bit more of the sky color around that brown. Okay, that's better. Okay, now I'm just going to add just a tiny bit, just a drop, a itty bitty tiniest little drop of red to the mix, and I'm going to make it a little bit reddish. Isn't that interesting? So yeah, you can do that if you want, and you just kind of come up and then go back into your gold again and add some more little grass here and there, everywhere. Put a little bit more down here. Just to, I think, you know, be really careful with that red, you guys. You don't want to get too carried away. And then I'm going to come back and we're going to fill in around that little shadow and around. I'm going to turn my brush slightly sideways on this one. You could actually use that other brush too, or a different brush if you want, and put little bits of grass around the egg and around the feet of the little bird. And then I'm going to keep going by putting more and more grass in here in various different colors. So sometimes I just pick up, you know, a little bit of different colors on my plate if I want. And then I'm going to add a little bit of white to my yellow, or my raw sienna again. And I'll come up here and add just a little tiny bit more of that, like this. Now, you know what? If you really want to, you could put green grass on there too. But most of the time when the chickens are out kind of messing around, it's not in green grass all the time. It's in kind of brownish grass. At least it is around here anyway. That's good. All right. Now, okay, that's looking pretty good. And we're going to come back in and put in a little bit more shadow color in here right where the chicken's legs are. I think, you know, you could just put a little bit of that darker brown and add just a tiny bit of purple to our brown, our little beige, and we're going to make some little grassy looking things right over the top of our shadow. So it's nice and dark. The grass is still there, but our shadow now is going to have a little bit of that purplish dark color as that chicken casts a shadow. And then you take some of that purple and you put that purple grass kind of coming up onto the egg too. You could do that if you want. Kind of make a little bit of a grassy look. That doesn't look too good, but I'm going to put a little bit more of that brown in with the purple so it's just a little bit darker. And I want to do a little more on that egg anyway, so I'm not going to do too much more on that. Fix my little shadow over here. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Okay, now the next part I want to work on while the rest of this is drying a little bit is I want to work on that chicken. Yes, I do. Okay, so the first thing I want to think about is I want to get that darker color for the baby chick to start with. And I know this just sounds really, really crazy, you guys, but I want to go in with that kind of that Dijon mustard color, and we're going to paint that bird in with this nice little, maybe just a nice brush, a little filbert brush or whatever brush you have. And I'm going to make the little wing by not just filling it in, but making little strokes like this, little comma strokes like that. And this is what's called the underpainting, all right? Underpainting like this. So I'm going to just make this particular color is the underpainting. I'm going to fill up this little bird's, remember the egg shape of the body, right, like that. Fill that up like this. And then I'm going to fill up these little triangle legs with that same, just that straight raw sienna color. And it's very transparent. Oh my goodness, I can still see my pencil marks underneath. Isn't that fun? Most yellows are very transparent, and you have to add white to them in order to not see the lines underneath. But today we're just doing our first layer of the little body, and then we're going to fill up the head just like that. I'm going to leave the beak out just like that. Yeah. There. I've got his little body filled out, and I'm going to let that dry for just a second. And then while I'm waiting, I'm going to take a tiny bit of our bright red, and I'm going to take, hopefully you can see this plate's getting kind of messy. I think I'll flip it over. Okay, I'm going to take a little tiny bit of the bright red like that, and some white, okay? Wow, that makes a neat pink, doesn't it? Okay, so some white and some of that bright red and a tiny bit of regular yellow. Maybe a little bit more of the red. Hang on. A little more of the red. I just keep doing it until I get it to where I like it. We're going to get ready to do the legs and the beak. Okay, legs and beak. That's about right. That looks like a nice peachy pink that you would have on your cheeks. Okay, and then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to paint in very carefully with my peachy pink, and I still got a little bit of yellow that's kind of going over there. I think I need a little more pink. And you can let it dry and then put another coat over the top of it too. That's not a problem. And then I'm going to come down here. I'm going to paint in the little legs with that peachy pink down there. And don't forget your three little 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Got that little leg, so it's kind of hard to see them down there, but we can make it a little bit darker with our purple on one side of the leg. So if I take just a little bit of a dark purple and add that to it and put that like that on the edge of my brush, I can sort of see that foot. You can put 2 layers or 3 layers of paint on there, as many as we like. And then I'm also going to get a little bit of the dark brown, and I'm going to put in a line right here on the beak, okay? Easy peasy. And then I think I'll put just a tiny bit of a little line right here so that you can see that, okay? Now the eye, since we don't have black, I'm going to take just a tiny bit of the dark blue and wipe it off on your towel and get some of the dark brown, okay? Dark blue and dark brown will make a nice effect of black, all right? And I can do this, all right? Instead of doing that, I'm going to, actually I'm going to dip it into my brown and dip it into my blue. And this time I'm going to take the back of my brush, not the ones with the bristles on it, but the little end of the brush, dip it into those colors and come up onto the eye and just polka dot it, right, like that, okay? It can make a nice little cute polka dot with the back of your paintbrush, just like that. Isn't that cute? And then you can find another little pokey thing, put a tiny bit of white on the end of your brush, like that, okay? And then very, very carefully put in a light little dot on there. Hopefully you can see that. I'll make it a little bit bigger. There, just like that. Isn't that just perfect? So that's how we do the first layer of the baby chick. Now I'm going to flip it over. I think I'm going to need another paper plate. Yeah. Okay, hang on. Okay, I got a fresh paper plate. Now I'm ready to go. And so now we're going to come back in, and I got to rinse out my brush. Make sure your brush is nice and clean. And the next thing I want to do is I want to take my, I'm going to take just a small amount of purple. Now you can just use purple if you want, or you can add a little bit of this color of teal, or you can add some blue to it, or whatever you like. And I'm going to take a tiny bit of teal and my purple, like that. That's a good color, very yummy. And I want to give my little wing, maybe just a little bit of, yeah, okay. We're going to take our little wing and we're going to make a little dark, kind of greenish purple, maybe a little more purple, underneath the wing like this, okay? So it has a little scoop, a little jump rope like that. And then I'm going to take another one and come over the top and make another little wing like that. So see, there's two little wing things like that. And then I might put one just around there. So this kind of looks like it's another wing coming off the back. That's fun. And now the next thing I want to do is take some bright yellow, okay? Bright yellow. And I'm going to add a little bit of white to it. Bright yellow and white. Maybe a little bit more yellow. Some chicks are really dark yellow and some of them are really light yellow, but we're going to do a dark, a middle tone, and a light on each one. So right now we kind of have our dark color that's just now almost dry, and then we'll come back in. Now I'm going to come back in and do this. I'm going to make some kind of light yellow with white, a little bit around the front of the chest, like that. And then we make just some strokes of that little lighter yellow, just a little bit, and it's going to get lighter and lighter, and a little bit on this leg right here. I'm not covering the whole thing up, I'm just covering the part that's just kind of coming forward a little bit. Now, while I'm letting that dry, at this stage, I want to let it dry just a little bit more. I can now go back in. I'm going to drop this brush again. And now I'm going to come back in with my sponge brush that I did the sky with, okay? I'm going to rinse it out, squeeze out the paint, and now this is dry up here. So now I can come in and take my white and I can scrub some really nice white clouds, just little fluffy bits here and there, just like that, by putting my brush sideways. And very, very gently. Don't rub too hard or they're going to wear out. We'll get new ones next month too, so if anybody needs to replace theirs, that's okay. These do wear out very, very much, but I know I've watched some of you guys just rub them so hard that they wear out in 2 minutes. Literally, 2 minutes. So don't rub them that hard. Just kind of make some fluffy little clouds here. There we go. Little circles, little circles. We're not drawing them and filling them in. We're just making little circles from the inside. There, now that looks nice. Yeah. Okay, now, where are we now? Let's see. Now I'm going to come back in. I got my brush nicely rinsed off. Wipe off the brush again. And this next round, we're going to add lots and lots of white, okay? So I'm going to add more white. I'm realizing how much white we actually use, so I'll probably increase our white in our packages next month, okay? So if you run out, let me know. I'll fill them up again. Okay, so now we're going to take some mostly white, just a little tinge of yellow, and I'm going to now come across like this, a couple little tiny strokes, all right? Little itty-bitty strokes. In fact, if you wanted to, you could probably use your little ratty brush, you know, the ones that we made the grass with. If it was nice and clean, it might make some interesting feathers. If you want to try that, you can. But I'm just going to do this on the wing and the back of the head, like that, and right under the cheek a little bit, maybe just a little bit there. Give it a little, I'm going to turn my brush sideways and make little tiny hairs. You could do that. That's kind of cute. And I can actually come back in with some of the darker yellow and do a second coat of yellow. Because remember, yellow is transparent and it's very, very hard to cover a big area without having all kinds of stuff. So I'm adding a little more of the regular yellow underneath there like that. Good. I'm gonna give him a little hairdo. That'd be kind of cute. A little fluffy hairdo. Okay, I'm gonna do it. There, look at that. Little letter C at the top of his head makes a little kind of cute little hairdo. I like that a lot. Okay, now that's looking pretty good. All right, so now if you want to make your grass green, how do you make green? Well, here's how you make it. You take a little bit of your bright yellow, like that, and then you're going to take just a tiny bit of either teal or your phthalo blue, okay? So your blue, I think maybe I'm going to take just a tiny touch of that blue, and you see I just put that in there like that, and it makes a green color right off the bat. And so there, I'll add some white to it. That's a little bit milky. I don't really want to do that. Let's see what happens if you do just yellow with a little bit of teal. Okay, try that. Ooh, that's a beautiful color. Okay, so that's a nice, nice grassy color. If I want to add just a few little bits of grass in the middle of it, on the bottom, I just take a little stroke and make nice grassy color grass coming up around in just a few spots. I really like that. So I'm making just a few little strokes of grass color in a couple of spots coming up. I start at the bottom and I go whoop like that, and I go whoop, make a grass like that. Practice your grass, you guys. And so you've got just a little bit of grass here and there. That makes it a little bit more springy, a little bit fresher than just that brown grass. You can cover the whole thing with green grass if you really want to. That might work. Oh, green grass, green grass. Okay, I stepped back and took a look at it. I think what I want to do, one more last little thing, is I'm going to take just some straight yellow and I'm going to come over this now with my yellow, over this dried paint a little bit and make it just a little bit more yellow color rather than, you know, mud. I don't want mud. But since yellow is transparent, you can see how I can still see my dark area right underneath there, and I think that's going to make it really nice. So we'll go like that. Now you can take your time. I'm going as fast as I can because I want you to be able to watch and to learn. And but you take your time with it and make it as cute as you possibly can. And then you can also, you know, come back in and make it kind of fuzzy. I'm taking my little my roughy brush here. I'm going to take a little bit of that yellow with white, and I'm just going to do a little experiment here. What would happen if I just took a little bit of that and I put just some dabs of that lovely fluff with our super roughy brush? Yes, that's it. Now it looks like a seriously fluffy chicken. And so that's what I'm doing with that. I'm just dipping it into my paint. I'm not brushing it, I'm just dabbing it. And look at the cute little fluff that comes off the end of that brush. I'm not pushing it too hard. I'm just putting it down with the white and the yellow, and I'm making that wonderful fluffy texture of little feathers. I'm turning it upside down this time for the underneath part. And now it looks like it has feathers, and I'll put a little bit on the front of the head. Be careful. Right there. You can always fix it back and forth, little by little. Oops, I just got some on the beak right there. That's okay. See, I just wiped it right off. Not a problem. A little bit on the leg. Like that. Oh my goodness, that's a fluffy one. I love it. Okay, so you can decorate yours in any way that you like. You can put red flowers, yellow flowers, blue flowers, whatever things you want to add to it. You could put a little fence over here. You could do all kinds of things. So decorate your painting in any way that you would like. It's your painting, all right? And I hope to see you guys next time when we're going to be doing a bouquet of lilacs. Yes, isn't that going to be nice? A little scene with some lilacs, and who knows what else we'll get into our painting. Okay, love you guys. See you next time. And don't forget to wash out your brushes We need to make sure that they don't get dry. Yes, do that right now. Okay, see you later. Bye-bye.